A movement among young men, right-wing young men, who, that gets a lot of publicity, the so-called America First movement and other aspects of it. Its leader, Nick Fuentes, has bizarrely basically trashed the idea of having sex, period. I mean, men having sex with women or whatever. And it's totally bizarre, and some great reporting on this by Amanda Marcotte. She is a senior politics writer at Salon, the author of the book Troll Nation, How the Right Became Trump-Worshipping Monsters Set on Rat-Effing Liberals, America, and the Truth Itself. She's writing over at salon.com. Amanda Marcotte, A-M-A-N-D-A-M-A-R-C-O-T-T-E is Amanda's Twitter handle. Amanda, welcome back to the program. It's been a while since we've talked. I'm so glad to have you back with us. Tell us about Fuentes and his group, and how do they? I mean, how does it even work that they're preaching that? To quote from your article, think of it this way: what's gayer than saying I need cuddles, I need kisses, I need to spend time with a woman? That's a little sus. What's going on here?
Well, I would say that Fuentes's targets like high school and college boys for recruitment primarily. So we're not talking about people that are sexually active a lot of the time. They are young men who, like a lot of people who are young, are not necessarily like killing it on the dating scene. And therefore, they can tell themselves a story about how they're failures, it's women's fault, things like that. And then they are really primed to be recruited into this kind of misogynist ideology that takes it to the next level, to the point of saying, well, you don't want to have sex with women anyway because that's gay.
You point out how this is not uncommon in fascist movements all around the world throughout history. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the thing about fascism and these fascist movements is that they really need that kind of youthful energy to survive. And like Trumpism in particular appeals mostly to elderly Fox News viewers. You look at the polling, and the kind of people that are into Christian nationalism are almost all retirement age. So in order to get that youthful energy that fascist movements always need, they have this kind of group of misogynist men who are functionally recruiting online. And Nick Fuentes is one, Gavin McInnes and the Proud Boys did a lot of this work, groups like that. And they speak to men that are under 40, and in Fuentes's case, under 20, and really kind of appeal to some of their insecurities around sex and dating, sometimes their insecurities around their jobs, things like that, their sense that they are somehow failing as men. And they use that to sort of bait them into believing if they join the movement, they're going to learn some life skills that make them better men. But instead, what they're learning is fascist ideology.
Is how to hate, essentially. I mean, this is like, I don't believe you dig into this in your article so much, and perhaps you do in your book. But here you've got a basic human need, the need for affection and the need for sex. I mean, that without that urge, our species would not continue. And so you're taking, a basic human drive and a basic human need and defying them, essentially, teaching people that this is wrong. You shouldn't go along with it. It kind of reminds me of the, when I was growing up, it was like, 40, 50 years ago, the way that gay people were taught, just hide it, just don't act it out and everything will be good. And it's like, how does that work? I mean, how does that become a sales tool? I could see, free love as a sales tool, but I don't get this.
Well, they don't sell. Almost none of these groups are actually selling somebody on the idea that you join up with us and you get to be celibate for the rest of your life.
Well, it worked for the Catholic Church for 2,000 years,
True. I think more what you're getting is a lot of these groups are recruiting young men by making them feel like they're going to find society and community and maybe even learn to be better men, and include, like with the Proud Boys and stuff, Gavin McInnes would even tell them that if you join up my program, you'll do better with women. But in reality, what happens is they join up with these groups, and the rules are so rigid around them that they're basically forced into not spending much time around women, not spending, and they're all straight basically. So, you know, I don't think a lot of gay men are being attracted to these groups. And so what happens is they end up being alienated from women. End up being alienated from normal social life. They spend all their time with the Proud Boys or America First or whatever neo-fascist group they've joined up with. And it's like a cult, right? This is what cults do. They alienate you from normal people in your life so that the only people you can have in your life that you depend on are people that are members of your cult. And that's functionally how it works. But yeah, they don't, I think they very rarely open with join us and you'll get laid less. It's more, we'll teach you how to be a better man. And then what ends up happening is that urge gets harnessed to their cause.
Yeah, it's really a remarkable story. We're talking with Amanda Marcotte, the senior politics writer at Salon and author of this new book, Troll Nation, How the Right Became Trump-Worshipping Monsters, set on rat-effing liberals, America, and truth itself. Amanda, to your book, Troll Nation, how did the right become Trump?
Well, the premise of my book is, and I wrote this in 2017 and it was published in 2018. So
Okay.
The premise of my book was that the American right has lost all the political arguments. And you can see this in the polling over and over again, like people, and we're seeing it in the abortion debate right now, like upwards of 70% of people often will say they support abortion rights and they're against this Roe overturn. They've lost the debate on civil rights, abortion rights. They've lost the debate on social spending, taxation, like name it, climate change, gun control, every single debate down the line. They just have nothing to offer. So instead of changing their views or getting with the times, what you're seeing is a conservative movement that's just getting increasingly angry and bitter, and everything that they want is revenge. And I think that when I wrote that, I was saying like they're just turned into a bunch of trolls, right? Trying to get revenge. Since then, I think it's curdled into just outright fascism, which of course is the end game of such a way of thinking, because at a certain point you realize we can't win democratically. So what we're going to do is end democracy, right?
Right.
So they're not even going to try to win the argument anymore.
Right, and thus we're seeing states changing their election laws so that they can, throw out voters they don't like, or throw out votes that they don't like, or overrule electoral colleges and things like this. To what extent is that trollification of the conservative movement, the Republican Party, the exact same thing that you're writing about in this piece about MAGA and the incels, these right-wing groups that are, indoctrinating these young people are essentially, just amplifying trolling. And also, how does this tie into the Republican Party's explicit claim that they're recruiting 50,000 people, heavily recruiting from these right-wing groups, to show up at the polls this November, with their guns strapped across their chests to look for people who might be illegal voters?
Yeah, I think it's anyone who's been young remembers what it's like to either have that urge to sort of just be a little pissant, or remembers at least people that were like that. I think that the kind of discourse of trolling online attracts, we all see it, it attracts very young men. And a lot of them are, again, the ones who are feeling alienated from normal society, normal people, dating. I think a lot of the time they exaggerate it in their heads and don't understand that most people actually struggle when they're young. But they feel alienated, and they find these communities of trolls online who the promise is that we can at least let you get your rage out about this by being mean to people online, by attacking feminists, by attacking women, by attacking people of color eventually, though it often usually starts with women. And it kind of trains them to view of politics as almost like a video game where it's all about just dunking on other people, as opposed to creating something new and generating a better society. And once you're in that mindset where everything is revenge oriented and just angry and bitter, then it's just very easy to get them to do things like, raid the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah, there you go. And there were a whole bunch of them there. There were absolutely were. Amanda Marcotte, the senior politics writer at Salon and author of Troll Nation, Salon.com. You can read Amanda's article over there. It's just brilliant. Amanda, thanks so much for dropping by today.